Good afternoon, students. We were discussing political system, and in the last class, I discussed with you what is a political system and what are the properties of political system, what are the essential characteristics of political system. Then, I discussed with you functional aspect of the political system. I have discussed the analysis of Easton on the functional aspect of the political system. After that, I stopped the first part of my lecture on political system, and today we will discuss the analysis of Almond on the functional aspect of the political system, then the analysis of Mitchell, analysis of Blondel, and analysis of After. Right. So before I move to the analysis of Mitchell, uh, model of political system or Mitchell's analysis of the functional aspect of the political system, I want to show the picture of the model. I mean Eastern model of political system. So let me share a screen with all of you. Now you can see the picture of the model of Eastern's political system. You can see the environment is outside the political community, and the in political community you will find various kind of regime, and government is within the regime, right? So, and in the picture you can see how there is demands and supports from the environment, and how the demand and support is from the political community, from the political system, right? You can see from it. And this whole model of Eastern's political system, this is also known as the black box model of polity, right? Now I am stopping the sharing. So the next model is given by the Mitchell, and what is his analysis of political system. Now Mitchell understands input and output in a way different from that of Easton. Now for him, along with demands and support, input also includes expectation and resources. Now Mitchell defines the output of a system into three categories: goals, values, and costs, and control. Here goals means system's goal. Values are the positive outputs, and costs are the negative outputs. What is value for one person may involve costs for the another person. Control are the ways in which goals, values, costs are implemented. Right. Now, Mitchell gives a different kind of political system. It is slightly different from the Eastern. Now, for Eastern, inputs means demands and support, and for Mitchell, inputs means demand, support, expectation, and resources. So there is not only demands and support from the environment, there is also expectation from the environment, and there is also resources from the environment to the political system. And in the output structure, you know there is three kinds of output in the Mitchell analysis of political system, and these three categories of outputs are the goals. Here goals means system's goal, right? Now through, I mean, by using those inputs, the political system also determine the also determine its own goal, right, its own purpose. And secondly, the second output is the you know values and costs. Values basically means the positive outputs, and costs generally means the negative outputs, right? So as a output, political system produces certain pleasure, and it also produces certain pain, right? So pleasure are the positive outputs and pain are the negative outputs. Some policies comes in favor of some group, and some policies come uh, not as a favor to particular section of people, right? Some policies are really value for some community, and some policies it bears cost for some community. And the third output to in Mitchell's analysis of political system is the control. Now here control is basically is the way in which goals, values, costs are the implemented, right? So you can find four inputs and three output. Four inputs are demand, support, resources, expectation, and three outputs are goal, values, and costs, and third is the control. Now there is interrelation between demands, expectation, support, and resources. On one hand, the goals, values, and costs, and control on the other. Right. So here Mitchell is showing there is a deep connection between all these aspects of the input, and there is interrelation between all these aspects of the output. That means there is interrelation between the demands, support, expectation, and resources. There is interrelation between goals, values plus cost, and control. The purpose of Mitchell was to develop a new political theory under the influence of economics. To him, it has made a powerful beginning in the form of welfare economics, cost benefits analysis, and program budgeting, etc. So basically, Mitchell as an economist, he, you know, by using some economical, tools, Mitchell is hopeful of developing a new political theory where these four inputs will help to produce the three outputs. Right. Now let me show you the Mitchell's you know diagram of his political system. So let me share. Now you can see the model of Mitchell's political system. You can see the polity is the political system in fact, and on the left hand side there is demands and expectation, there is resources, there is support. So these are the inputs to the polity, and from the polity there is output, that is system's goal, values and costs, and the control. Now you can see this is also known as the exchange model of polity. Right, this is the Mitchell's political system. You can see from the citizen sides to government, citizen provides government. What the citizen provide? You can see resources, you can see resources, support, demand, and from the government to citizen, you can see uh, you know income, status, opportunity. I mean, government provides income, status, opportunity to citizen, government controls the citizen, and government provides public good and services to the citizen. So this is the exchange model of polity. And Mitchell, as a man of economics, he has used the economic tool, in developing his model of political system. Now I'm stopping this. Okay. So after going through the Mitchell's, you know, model of political system, let's go to the analysis of Almond. So whenever there is any discussion on political system, uh, people refers to Almond model because it is comprehensive. And I mean, Almond in his model, he has said, everything, nothing is left uh, about political system. Everything is mentioned in their Almond's, analysis of political system. Now, in his input and output model, Almond provides sevenfold classification of variables, what he has developed for the purpose of comparing the modern or developed political system with primitive or developing political system of the third world countries. Right. And what are those sevenfold classification? In the sevenfold classification, you can find four variables of input categories and three variables of output categories. Right. So 4 plus 3 is equal to 7. Sevenfold of classification of variable. 4 are input variables of input categories, and 3 are the variables of output categories. And what are those 4 variables of input categories? The first is the political socialization and recruitment. Second is the interest articulation. Third is the interest aggregation. And fourth is the political communication. Now, political socialization and recruitment refers to a sociological analysis of how people are trained to have faith and conviction in political values, and how they are inducted into specialized role of a political system. Right. So it basically means, what is the function of a political system? I mean, the function of a political system is divided into two categories: the input function and the output function. How input functions for the political system and how output functions for the political system. What is the function of input? The first function of input is the political socialization and recruitment. Right? So basically means the political system has to do a sociological analysis of how people are trained to have faith and conviction in political values. The political system has to know it. How people, generate their values, generate their faith, conviction, and how they are guided by it, and how people are inducted into the specialized role of a political system. Right. So the political system has to do a homework with the political socialization and political recruitment. Right. And the second is the interest articulation. Now, interest articulation refers to the study of interest group that struggle for the protection and promotion of their specific interests. These groups may be institutional like legislature, political executive, bureaucracies, church, etc., or non-associational group like kingship, lineage group, religious group, caste group, class group, etc. Right? So political system has to understand the interest articulation. What are the stakeholders? What are the interest group which is struggling for the protection and promotion of their specific interest? And these interest group may become various institutions like legislature, political executive, bureaucracies, church, etc. And these interest group may be or may become non-associational groups such as kinship, lineage group, religious group, caste group, class group, etc. Then the third variable of input category is the interest aggregation. Now, interest aggregation refers to the organization and role of the political parties which regulate the aggregative function by other subsystem. So political system has to have knowledge over the role of political party, especially how political party aggregate various functions of different subsystem of the society. And the last is the political communication. And political communication performs the function of the boundary maintenance. It interconnects the society and polity directly through feedback. So political system has to have knowledge about the political communication between various segments of the society and the relation between this society and polity. Basically, this political communication is meant to maintain the boundary of the society and polity. There are different sub-systems within the society, and every system has its own boundary, and political communication maintain that boundary. Political system must have the knowledge of such communication. So these are the four variables of input structure or input categories of a political system. Right? and there are three output categories, and three output categories are the rule making, rule application, and rule adjudication. Now after political system have a knowledge of all these input variables, political system has to make certain rules according to these inputs. Political system has to have knowledge over the political socialization and recruitment. Political system has to have knowledge, interest over interest articulation, interest aggregation, political communication. Then the political system will produce output. I mean, political system has to make rule. Political system has to apply those rules, and political system has to, adjudicate that rule. Now let me show the diagram of Almond's model. You can better understand from there. Now you can see, I don't know whether you can see it properly or not. Now you can see these are the characteristic of Almond model of political system. There are three characteristics: comprehensiveness, interdependence, and boundaries. I have dealt it in the earlier class. There are five properties of a political system. You can see the universality of political system, universality of political structure, universality of political function, multifunctionality of political structure, culturally mixed character of political system. And the function of political system is divided into two categories. One is the input function and output function of the political system. In input function, you can find political socialization and recruitment, interest articulation. You can see the interest articulation. Uh, you know, it can be at the institutional level, it can be at the non-associational level, it can be at the associational level, it can be at the economic level, and there is interest aggregation. Here you can see, now you can see here in interest aggregation you can find how party system performs this function, right? You can see the authoritarian, dominant authoritarian, competitive multi-party, then performance of the aggregative function, secular or pragmatic, bargaining, absolute value oriented, particularistic or traditional. In political communication, you can find homogeneity of political information, mobility of information, value of information, direction of the flow of information. And on the other hand, you see the output function. In output function, you can find rule making. In rule making, there is prescription and termination. In rule application, there is uh, invocation and application. In rule adjudication, you can find rule application and rule appraisal. So I'm stopping it, then I'll continue. So this is, this model, shows how comprehensive the model given by the, Gabriel, Almond. In the fourth unit, that is, classification of political system by Gabriel Almond, uh, I will give a detailed analysis of it at that time, while I will teach you the, fourth unit in detail. Right. So for now, you just, have this much knowledge what is the Almond model of political system. Right. I personally has to go through what is, I mean, what it exactly mean in, I mean, how to understand the various aspect of the interest aggregation, interest articulation, then political communication, how to understand the aspect of the rule making, aspect of the rule, application, aspect of the rule adjudication. Okay. While I will teach you the classification of political system by Gabriel Almond, uh, while I will now when I will deal with it in the which is there in your fourth unit, at that time I will explain it. Now coming to the Blondel model of political system. Now to Blondel, there arises conflict in every society, and it is the function of the political system to digest it. So this is the Blondel analysis of political system. So what Blondel is saying, that in every society you can find conflict, and the function of the political system is to digest it. Now political system selects and combines these demands that arises out of the social conflict. That means from the social conflict, some demands are generated, and these demands are selected, these demands are combined by the political system. Now, these demands have their impact on the decision making process, right? So these demands basically guides the political system to take certain decision. The nature of these demands must be both normative and empirical, right? The nature of these demands must be normative and empirical. Normative basically means the question of should be, ought to be. Empirical means is. So these demands, I mean, when the political system, takes the demand seriously, when the political system is guided by these demands, political system has to uh, understand the normative aspect of these demands and the empirical aspects of this demand. And outputs are the decision of the government that can be either natural or imposed. They are natural if they are in accordance with the normative value of the society, and they are imposed if they pertain to the unpredictable idea of the man in power. So, in the output to Blondel, there is only decision of the government. Some of the decision of the government are natural. It is because these decisions are in accordance with the normative value of the society. That means society will accept it. Decisions are in accordance with the normative value of the society. Society will not reject those decisions because it is in accordance with the societal morality. And some of the decisions are uh, you know are imposed, in the sense that these decisions are unpredictable idea of the man in the power, right? So these decisions are actually the unpredictable idea of the authority, right? Society is not you know familiar to it. So authority has imposed his idea, so that the society, I mean, that decision which is not familiar with the society, that decision will be imposed on the society. Now in order to convert the input into the output, so input to the Blondel are these demands are raised from the social conflict, and output are the decision of the government. So in order to convert input into output, in order to convert these demands into decision, The political system goes through two successive phases. First, the norms of the system are first expressed in the form of general statement. Second, these are subsequently applied to different situations. Right. So how the political system convert these demands into the decision? First, in the first phase, political system will form certain general statements based on the norms, based on the rules, based on the ethics, certain statement. And in second phase, these general statement, these rules, here general statement basically means rules, regulation. Norms basically means uh, you know norms basically means uh, morality, ethics, right? So the political system, on the basis of morality and ethics, it makes certain rules and regulation. And second, in second phase, the political system apply those rules and regulation uh, in different situation in the society, right? And finally, there is a process of double checking by which norms are directly confronted with the output, as this is both an element of feedback mechanism and a normative demand in the human communities. Now, once the rules and regulations are applied on the society, then maybe the society may positively accept it, or society may react against it. See, if decisions are uh, quite natural, in accordance with the normative value of the society, society will welcome those decisions. But if the decisions are imposed, then the society will react against those decisions. And the and when the society will react against those decisions, now this will work as a checking for the political system whether its decision is appropriate, or there is a requirement to change those decisions. Now, each type of structure fulfills one function, only one function, and always the same function, right? Let me show on this statement. Okay, now you can see this is the Blondel model of political system. There you can find there are different structure which performs different function. There are many groupings, social groupings and economic grouping, that you know do the function of articulation, right? Political parties do the function of combination or aggregation, right? This articulation and aggregation by different grouping and political parties, these are at the input, at the input level, and at the political system has to convert the input into output. Again, in you see in the output level, you can see how the structure like assemblies and council, how it make the rules. Rule making is by the assembly and council, and how executive and bureaucracy implement those rules, and how judiciary adjudicate these rules. And there is, I mean, there is, uh, Blondel in Almond. I mean, Blondel analysis of political system. It is also the part of, or you can see the Blondel model in the Almond model of political system. So you can see each type of, you know, structure fulfills one function and only one function, always the same function, right? Again, in your fourth unit, there is, Blondel classification of political system. There I will deal with it in detail, right? So now I'm stopping this here. Okay, now let's come to the analysis of after. What is the after's understanding of political system? So let me take a 2 or 3 minute break, then I'm coming back. Welcome back. Now, in his analysis, after brings the distinction between the democratic and totalitarian system. So, in his analysis of political system, after brings the distinction between the democratic and totalitarian system. Now, a democratic system responds to the crisis variables by trying to mediate between contending group in order to produce effective policy that can ameliorate 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 the causes of tension. Their success depends in part on the effectiveness of the link between the society and government. Government is the dependent variable, society is the independent variable. Now you can see, now let me share a, model of after there, then you can understand it easily. Okay, now it is here, you can see. So what is a democratic system? A democratic system responds to the crisis variable, right? I mean, a democratic system responds to the crisis of the society. In the society, you can find there are different contending, group, and there is a crisis between these group, and political system mediates between these groups. And why the political system mediates between this group? In order to produce effective policies that can reduce the causes of tension. So basically, political system in a democratic setup tries, or in a in a democratic uh, you know political system in a democratic structure makes the effective policies, and the ultimate goal of that policy is to reduce the causes of tension, right? So political system and its success in a democratic setup depends on the effectiveness of the link between the society and government. So political system in a democratic setup always try to establish the link between the society and the government. So here after is saying the society is an independent variable, the government is a dependent variable. So here you can see the government is dependent on the society. The government is for the society. The government makes policies based on the orientation of the society. So government makes policy based on the orientation of the social system. The government has to understand the aspiration of different groups. The government has to make policy to reduce the tension in the social system. Now, in this model, the government responds to the societally generated crisis as the input. So, the crisis in the social system is the input. Government addresses the crisis of the society. It becomes an instrument of tension reduction. So, government is there to reduce the tension within the societal system, and government uses the policy, makes and uses, government makes the rules regulation, implement these rules regulation in order to reduce the tension within the social system. Hence government is a instrument of tension reduction, and government reduces and resolves the crisis by maintaining sound relation between the official system and appropriateness of the policy decision, right? So government has to, when the government will be successful in handling the conflict in the social system, only when the government maintain a sound relation between the official system and rule. That means the rules must be perfect, the implementer, the official system means the implementer official must be honest. So the rules must be uh, rules must be non-corrupt, and official must be non-corrupt. So the political system in a democratic system has set up has to maintain the honest rule and honest rule implementer. Okay, let me show the another diagram of after in his analysis of political system, and he has used it for to understand the totalitarian regime. Okay, now in the on the other hand, in the totalitarian system, the government tries to deal with the institutionalization, socialization and internalization by mobilizing the people, right? So in the totalitarian system, government makes policy in order to bring the changes in the social system. So here the input is provided by the government. So government provides input. Political system makes policy on the basis of government's instruction, right? So it is the government instruction that contributes towards the policy decision, and the purpose of policy decision is to is to or the purpose of the policy decision is to bring institutionalization, the socialization and internalization by the people. The people will internalize the government's aspiration. People will socialize themselves as per the government's aspiration, and people will accept the institution that has been made by the government to achieve its goals. Now, participation which checks the power of the elite is restricted. So here the public participation is to strengthen the ruler. Here the public participation is not to check the power of the ruler, power of the elite. Mobilization of the people towards the achievement of the certain goal is facilitated in the hope that this will provide a collective power for transforming society and transcending the restriction of the society. Now, here the government will dictate over the society in a totalitarian system. The government will decide whether the society should change or not, whether the restriction of the society is genuine or not. So basically, in a totalitarian system, the society is not the guiding force. The government is the guiding force. Society is at the receiving end. Here you can also see it. Now in this model, government becomes the instrument for the radical changes in the societal system. In a democratic setup, you find the social system is an instrument of the radical changes. But here in a totalitarian system, you can find the government is an instrument for the radical changes in the social system. So this is the difference between a democratic system and totalitarian system, which is reflected from the analysis of Apter on the functional aspects of the political system. Right. Now to Almond and Powell, the analysis of political system must consist not only of the observation of the actual pattern of behavior and interaction over a period of time, but also of those subjective propensities located in the political system as a whole and in its various parts. This means the capabilities of a political system. And when we speak of capabilities of a political system, we look for an orderly way to describe its overall performance in its environment. The capabilities of a political system may be of several varieties, such as regulative, extractive, distributive, and responsive. The nature of these capabilities is contained in the operation of input and output process. Now, political system is not all about the actual pattern of behaviors and interaction of the people, society, and polity. It is also about the propensities located in the political system as a whole and in its various parts. So this means the capabilities of a political system, right? So the capability of a political system is also important part of a political system. How and I mean, what are those the capability of a political system? I mean, to what extent a political system regulates, to what extent political system extracts extract resources, regulates the individual, society, and various groups, how the political system distributes various goods and services, how the political system is responsive to the people, right? So the capabilities, the nature of these capabilities is contained in the operation of the input and output. So the capability of a political system is also important when the political system, you know, convert the input into the output. It is not that if the input is good, then the output will be good. No, it depends on the capability of a political system. If the capability of a political system is sound, then a good input, the political system can convert a good input into a good output. So this is how you can get a sense of understanding, political system, right? So I hope you got a comprehensive idea. I understand that I need to give a comprehensive analysis of sevenfold classification of variables given by the Almond. I will do it while I will deal with the Almond's classification of political system. I'm repeating, it is there in your fourth unit. Right. So here I'm stopping. Okay, I have stopped this sharing, and this is where I end my second lecture, and this is the last lecture on understanding of political structure. Right. Let me see what is the title I had given to it. Models of political system, right? So I just gave a brief idea of the models of political system. In your second unit we will go through in detail what is interest aggregation, interest articulation. In the third unit there is output function, and in your fourth unit there is uh, models of Blondel and Almond on the classification of political system. In overall, uh, you know, let me tell you, you can find this book from online. The name of the book is The Comparative Politics, a Developmental Approach. The book is written by Almond and Powell. Everything you can get from that book, and I suggest this one book for you to read and refer for this course. So thank you very much.